Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Ace Racing League. Today is a special day because today ARL hosts its first Assetto Corsa Competizione event. There's no better place to start the new season and championship than the beautiful track of Spa-Francorchamps. The new ARL World GT3 Championship starts its first round of 6. Today, I'm joined by Stijn Prins, a driver far better than myself in the commentary box. He'll be providing analysis throughout the evening. Stijn, say hello.
Hi, Stijn here. I said today, I said, Spa's a track for today. This track was opened back in the 1924. It's situated in the beautiful mountains of Belgium. There's a total length of 7 kilometers and 20 turns. For the day, we will use the following format of 20-minute qualifying followed by a 40-minute race. All drivers have to complete at least one pit stop during the race, so there will be a mandatory pit stop. And they can do the pit stop whenever they want. And that's for today. Let's get into the qualifying session.
All right, thanks, Stijn. Glad for you to be alongside me today. We're gonna start off the session with Max Janssen, one of the organizers of the event, racing in his nice hot pink livery. I'm sure he'll be anxious to impress, maybe even win his own league. I know he's a great driver. He was very competitive in the F3 series for his tenure, racing in the open wheelers. But it's a whole new game today, quite literally. So we're gonna have to see how they go along. Stijn, when you drive a GT3, because I know you're a very good driver, what are you looking for? Definitely not losing the rear end like Max just did.
Well, a GT3 is really different than what I'm used to driving to. Really understeery car, so you need to be, especially in this track, there are some really high-speed corners. You need to be really careful on the throttle. But I know Max is an outstanding driver when it comes to GT cars. We have seen this in the ARL GT3 Porsche Cup Championship last summer, if I believe. I think we can expect some really good results today from Max Janssen, really experienced driver. I wouldn't be surprised if he could claim the win today.
So going through the field, we've got some new faces and some old. We've got Robert Pawn, of course, one of our ARL staff members.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Seems like Nick has some connection issues.
Stabasi, who's a very new face, as is Tots, competitor. Sorry everyone, it looks like I'm having some technical difficulties at the moment. Again, my connection is not great, unfortunately, so if me and Stijn were just talking over each other, I sincerely apologize.
Yeah.
But, anyways, Stijn, what did you tell them over the past, 15 seconds?
I said you were having some technical difficulties, so
Good call.
yeah.
Okay, so as I was saying, let's take a run through the field and look at some of the drivers. We got some very new faces and some old faces as well, all of which showing up to compete in our new series. We've got, starting from the top, sorry about this, just a second. Darius Andre is a new face. He, I believe, competes in the Endurance Championship, but this is his first race. It's everyone's first race, in fact, in our GT3 series. Max Janssen, definitely not new. He helped organize the whole thing, and he's been an ARL staff member for quite a while. David Lelt, another one who's been here right from the very beginning. He's a staff member as well. Luca Den Hartog, who was very competitive in the second split of last year's Formula 3 championship. Sylvester Tots is a new face. I believe he also races in endurance, but not in the Formula 3 side. Nick Klein-Navot has been with us for a long time, one of the founding staff members, I believe, or he came along very quickly after the league started. He drives in F3 and endurance as well. Gergo Baloch, I'm sure I messed up that name. He also races in endurance, as does Pascal Eggert. Imran Shaikh, we haven't seen him for a while. He drove in F3 mostly in seasons 1 and 2. but he'll be looking for a new challenge today. Maxime Badidi, another one similar to Imran Shaikh. Badidi was a top 5 driver in season 1, I think I'm fair to say, and now he goes for GTE Gold. Robert Pawn does an incredible amount for Ace Racing League. He organizes a lot of the Endurance Championship. He's helping to organize the Assetto Corsa Competizione Championship, and along with that, he's an amazing driver at just 13 years old. Alexei Kaipinen, a big face in the F3 series. I believe he's currently second in the championship. So we have a very good field of drivers today, along with Erteg, Ertzu,
It seems like Nick has some technical difficulties again. I'll just wait for him to come back before I start like talking at the same time as him. Otherwise,
Okay, I'm good. Sorry
okay.
about that. Stepan Kaisel is the 15th driver of the grid. I don't think he is in part of any other ARL league, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets along today. Mixa Mortiferum, definitely not a fresh face, Season 2 champion of Ace Racing League's Formula 3 series. Now he tries his hand at GTE, and I don't believe any other reserve made it. Do you know if Vladislav's racing today, Stijn?
Vladislav is racing indeed today, so we will be having 2 ARL F3 champions on the grid, which of course really exciting. I know Vladislav is, as we can see, Lucan and Hartog going sideways. And he can't make it out of the wall. It's quite a tank slapper from Luca there. But yeah, Vladislav will be racing today. Of course, his expertise is mainly Formula, so open wheeler cars. But I'm looking forward to see what he can do today. He will be representing the Sim Apex organization, together with Robert Barn, for example. Yeah, I think Vladislav will be able to score points. If he doesn't, it would be a shame. But yeah, we'll hope for the best for him.
And while we're on the subject of points, let's tell the fans that are watching a little bit about the system of the league. So it's a little bit different from Formula 3 that you might have been used to. It's a 20-minute qualifying session, which we're watching now as Max Janssen leads the way with 8 minutes gone, just about. Then we'll have a 40-minute race session as looks like very close to collision there between, I think that's 2 G-Force cars. Good thing the slow car stayed out of the way. Nonetheless, yes, it's a 40-minute race. 1 pit stop is mandatory. They cannot refuel. And I think that's all they got to know. Other than that, if you cut 4 corners, you will get a drive-through penalty. So if you see a driver making a second pit stop, that's probably why. Stijn, anything to add?
No, as we can see right now, there haven't been set too much lap times yet. Unfortunately, we can't see the live timing at the moment. Yeah, here I can see the current times. As we can see, a stunning 2 minute 18 seconds of Max Janssen, which is a really good time. As expected, he's on provisional pole position right now with Paul Robert in P2, and the number I think he became P6. Maxime Badidi in season 1 of Formula 3 with 3 podiums in the first 3 races. So would be a good comeback if he could make it back on the podium again. But for now, unfortunately, no one can really challenge Max Janssen, who is on his way to score the first pole position of the ACC Championship hosted by ARL.
And we know that Max has been preparing for even months for this race, kind of, in a way, because he loves this game. Every time, every day in the ARL staff chat, Max is asking to play some Assetto Corsa Competizione, so no surprise that he's currently on pole.
Yeah, exactly. He's a very driven driver. Yeah, he really loves this game indeed.
A very driven driver.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
sorry.
that. No, that's a good line. Shouldn't be
Yeah.
sorry for that.
Okay. If you say so. And then yeah, we can see that Vladislav Muchalenko moves up to P5, which is for him, I think, knowing Vladislav, the only thing he wants is to win the race. So I don't think, when he drops down to P6 even, don't think he will be happy with the current result.
Yeah,
But
we have. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I know Vladislav. His qualifying isn't always as good as he wants it to be, so his race pace is outstanding. So maybe we'll see some improvement during the race on his position.
Yeah, we've got a name for Vlad. We call him Robo Vlad, kind of like Robotas from Formula One. Uh, he's just so consistent. It's ridiculous, basically like a robot. So I'm sure we'll see some improvement from him during the race. As it looks like, who's that that went third? My stream is not very good quality.
The current
Eggert,
one. Oh, Pascal Eggert, yeah.
he,
And he went on up to P3. What a performance by the German driver. Great guy, Pascal. And
yeah, he rep. Go ahead.
yeah, I know Pascal is really enthusiastic about this sim too. So I believe he drove a 8-hour race pretty recently. So he had over 8 hours of practicing. So should be no issue to score some good points for him.
And we know that, of course, those 8 hours he drove was just in preparation for ARL. No, he didn't really care about the other race, did he?
No, exactly. He it was just as a preparation, you know. I mean, we all know the only real ACC league that's ARL. So still surprised to see Mixa Mortiferum back in P14. Seems like he hasn't set a lap yet, but he's driving the Aston Martin as it seems, and there he went up to P2. Just
It's
as I mentioned, he jumped to P2.
yeah, it's the opposite of the commentator's curse. That you mentioned his name and you gave him an extra 10 horsepower
Yeah,
down the straight.
seems
I
like
think
it.
Robert Pond P3. I think he's got a little more pace. I think we may be seeing him a little bit further up the leaderboard at the end of the session. This is his jam. This is his bread and butter. He loves the GTE cars and the just endurance cars in general. So I
Yeah,
know he'll be looking to improve. I think he may want to beat Max Janssen. I think that's a thing of pride that he might be looking for because they're always playing ACC together. I always see them in the chat. When Max asks, Robert says yes. So I have a
yeah,
feeling Robert will want to beat him in this race.
yeah. Robert, he's a very dedicated driver. I mean, he's obviously a bit younger than most of the drivers in sim racing in general, because he's 13 years old, which is really young and really special if you look at the pace he's having. But yeah, I've always noticed that Bon he really wanted to beat the older guys and show him how quick he is, and he's really on his way of becoming one of the top guys. So maybe he can beat him today. It seems like Max is going to be dominant today, but we'll see. He could be a good challenger. And Luca Den Hartog in P3. That's also a big surprise. He's a good driver,
Wow.
but he
Yeah.
had his share of bad luck in season 1.
Yeah, I remember racing against him in Split 2 of Formula 3, and he was quick. He was quicker than me, probably by about a second a lap. And I think since then he's definitely improved his craft quite a bit. So
Yeah,
Dan Hartog,
he was P16 in season 1 with some decent results. All the races he drove, he scored good points. Of course, we shouldn't forget that Luca is a BNL karting driver, so he drives at a pretty high level. So we shouldn't underestimate him, because in real life he has a lot of experience driving at a European level of karting. So great to have him on board today.
and you know who else drives at a very high level? Mixa Mortiferum, who just went P3. Maybe not in real life. I don't know about his real life endeavors, but in sim racing, he's a very tough man to beat on his day, and it looks like he could be having a good day at the moment. P3 for Mixa.
Yeah. In last year's F3 car, he was he was really dominant with scoring. I believe he drove around 8 races and won 6, I guess. So yeah, unlucky this season in the Formula 3 season 3 championship. The car didn't really suit him, but seems like this car is just fine for him. He's steady in P3 and just the gearbox of Paul Robert and Max Jensen. Maybe it would be good to see a little update on the current times, because
Yes, I think that's a good idea as well. Is that
yeah.
Max Jansen 2 seconds in front?
Yes, he is. He
A
even
second and a
improved
half.
his last lap of 18.3 to a 17.9.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. As we can see, the gaps behind between Mortiferum, Paul Robert, Lucan and Hartog, and Pascal Eggert are really small. So yeah, the field is pretty close, except for Max Jensen really dominating the current qualifying session.
Yeah, the gap from first to second is larger than the gap from second to 11th.
Exactly. So for the race itself, the win should be, if Max managed to make a fairly clean race without any mistakes, it should be a really doable win for him today. As we can see, Amir Hazek, Darius Andre, Gergo Balog, and Alexei Kaipanen hasn't set a lap yet. Of course, we shouldn't forget that this is a track of 2 minutes and 20 seconds on average. And of course, it's really difficult to get a clean lap in here. There is always a mistake somewhere around the corner, or in the corner, if you know what I mean.
Good one.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, they should be hitting around the track soon because they've only got one lap. It's basically at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, especially at Spa, starting at the back shouldn't be too much of an issue, considering the slipstream you immediately get towards Eau Rouge, and after that on the Camel Straight.
And the fact that this is a tricky track it's easy to make mistakes. So if you start at the back, there's a lot of time to gain. There's a lot of time to pick up on the cars in front of you. So not a huge deal, but you still want to have that track position, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you look at how close the gaps are right now in qualifying. Seems like you need to fight for every position at the moment. So it's not like gaining back those positions is gonna be an easy job for them. So
Well, turns out I really need.
seems like Nick's having some technical difficulties. Oh, he's back. Okay, good. 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, and it really seems like the pole position is indeed going to be for Dutchman Max Jansen. As we can see, it is Alexei Kaipanen up to P2. So he's been doing a great lap. Alexei currently P2 in the F3 standing, so he's a good driver. He knows what he's doing. And yeah, as we can see, up into P2 for now.
And he's got to be really going for it on this last lap, even though he probably won't be able to pit Max Janssen. I'm sure that he needs to defend from Robert Pawn, who he knows is a very good driver, as well as Mixa Mortiferum. So coming on to start his final lap of the session is Alexei Kaipanen, and what I have to say is quite a tasteful livery. Red with the gold trim. I always like the Aston Martins, if assuming that is an Aston Martin. I may have just made myself look stupid.
It is, don't worry.
Thank you, Stijn. Now one of the guys a bit further down the order, Ertug Distabasi. I can't help but feel I'm getting that name wrong, but nevertheless, he's representing Turkey. That's Cemal's native land, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
So I know our streamer in chief will be looking to shine the limelight on him for quite a bit of this race. Not quite a bit, but every once in a while, have a look back at how good old Ertug's doing as he comes through. This is Huan, correct, Stijn?
I believe that I don't know anything about the corners at Spa. No, I
Okay,
do. I know the left is the double gauche, but I don't know what's after that.
okay, thank you. That's why Jamal has given us a handy dandy track guide.
And you were completely right. It's called Puhan.
Look at that. F1, sign me up. Step out of the way, Crofty. Nonetheless,
And
Ertug is kind.
seems like Nick is having some technical issues again. So we can see Ertug Destabasi crossing the line right now to come home in P12 for the qualifying session with a best lap of 2 minutes and 20 seconds and 3/10. Stopping there on track. I don't know if that's the smartest spot to stop. And here, spectating Alexei Kaipanen coming into the bus stop, and he's going to try to claim his P2 for the qualifying session to have that slipstream onto the Camel Straight in the slipstream of Max Jansen to maybe even claim P1 going into lap 1. And there we have it. Qualifying session is over with Max Jansen scoring the first pole position of the season, and the first ever pole position in the ACC Championship of ARL.
Notice there, Kaipanen did improve on that lap, so maybe he's got a little bit more pace than we previously thought. I think he improved by about 4/10, so perhaps we could be seeing a bit of a challenge from him.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait until the lights go out.
He was around 1.1 seconds off in the qualifying session, so yeah, that's not too much, I'd say. So yeah, if he gets a good run onto the straight in lap 1, he could try to get the first position of Max Jansen at the end of the Camel Straight. So you can see the session will start in 4 minutes. Race will be 40 minutes. And at the end of the race, there will be one extra lap, I think.
Now me and Stein have to find something to talk about for 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah.
Stein,
What did
how
you
does
have
it
for lunch
feel?
today? Oh, no, never mind.
Oh,
No.
I had nothing, actually. I had cereal for breakfast.
Nice, okay.
Stein, how does it feel to be leading the Formula 3 championship? I believe you're untouchable now.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really think that I could be anywhere near the top for the F3 championship, but yeah, I've been leading since round 1, being able to fence off some drivers like Mika Hakimi, Mixer Mortifiera, John Bennett. Didn't really expect to be able to do that. So, but the car suits me. It's honestly my best sim racing car, and feel really comfortable in it. Just easier and relaxed to drive. So yeah, next race hoping to claim the championship and my first title in sim racing for Sim Apex RT. So yeah, it's not what I expected, but everything is going well, so should be able to finish the job.
Repeat next year?
Sorry?
Repeat next year?
We'll have to see about that. I don't expect the cars to be the same, so new car is new driving style is it's always difficult to adapt to another car, So and the gaps are small between the top guys, so it
And
really
You are registered for the GT3 series, right? So are
Yes,
we
I
seeing you
am.
next week?
Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties, and because of that, I couldn't make it to the race today. But also, I just noticed, compared to someone like Max Jensen, I'm way off the pace. So um, yeah, GT is not my thing. So I don't really enjoy it that much to drive. And yeah, unfortunately, the technical difficulties made me not drive today. But yeah, I'm happy to commentate with you too. So
You're having to commentate. Wow, sounds like
no, I said I'm
Stein's being held
happy.
hostage.
I'm really
Oh,
happy.
okay. Okay,
Yes,
that's good.
don't
He's
worry.
happy to commentate.
I'm
We don't have to
happy.
throw him out now. It's fine.
I don't have to go to the gulag now. That's nice.
Yes, good. Until okay. So let's go to the grid for the first round of the 2020 Ace Racing League GT3 World Championship. On pole, of course, Max Janssen, a dominant qualifying from him, more than 1 second away from the next fastest car. Second place is Alexei Kaipinen. Then followed by Robert Pawn, who I'm sure will be looking to improve his position, although a podium on debut wouldn't be too bad. Then it's the familiar face of Maxime Bedidi in fourth, in the very nice looking Bentley, if I do say so myself, followed by Mixa Mortiferum in the blue steel livery, very nice. Luca Den Hartog, an old F3 rival in P6, followed by Vladislav Mochienko, Season 1 Formula 3 championship winner in seventh, then Pascal Eggert, a ARL endurance mainstay, followed by Sylvester Tots in P9 driving the Porsche, then Nikolai Nauvot in 10th, followed by David Leltz, Destivasi, Amir Hazik, Darius Andre, Imran Shaikh, and Ergo Balak. So let's go to 5 red lights now as the session begins.
Yeah. So we will have a
Waiting
warm-up
for
lap.
the lights. I hope my stream isn't frozen.
Lights have turned off.
Oh, lights.
You can see Max trying to warm up his tires there. So it's a rolling start halfway this straight. The lights will go out and there will be waved a green flag for the whole field.
They're rolling onto the main straight now, and I believe the flag has been dropped. Away they go for Spa-Francorchamps. Max Janssen gets a clear lead through a Rouge. Kaipinen and Pawn side by side. Kaipinen comes out the better. Then Pawn, he's going to come under pressure from Maxime Badidi down the Kemmel Straight. Then Mixa Mortiferum in behind. He's being chased by Luka Dan Hartog. Vladislav Muchienko picks up 7th place and Pascal Eggert down into 8th. So Max Janssen leads through the right-hander at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Alexei Kaipinen retains P2. Robert Pawn now down into P3. Maxime Bedidi up into 4th, followed by Luka Dan Hartog, and then Vladislav Mushienko picks up a position up into 6th. Down into Les Bruxelles. It's Janssen still leading the way, and Maxime Bedidi has overtaken Luka Dan Hartog for P4. Kaipinen, then Pawn, and Bedidi for 4th. Luka Dan Hartog in 5th. He's trying to chase down Maxime Bedidi, but he's got Vladislav Mochienko for company. That's not a car you want to see in your mirrors. Then Bodeferrum, followed by Eggert and Tots. Darius Andre in 10th, Nikolai Naufort 11th, Laltz 12th, Hazik 13th, Shaikh Balok, and then Destebasi holding up the rear. Stijn, what do you think of the start?
Yeah, what an amazing start by Max Jensen, who managed to immediately almost get out of the 1 second gap behind. So Alexei Kaipinen managed to stay quite on his tail, but unfortunately seems like the gap between both the top 3 drivers are at least 1 second. So only challenger for the podium right now on board with David Leltz.
He's coming onto the attacking end of Tots, Sylvester Tots that is, and he's right in behind as they go through So I believe that is Stijn. Help me out. Oh wait, he doesn't know the corner. It doesn't matter. Into the bus stop. Leltz is not close enough to have a go at Sylvester Tots, but Nikolai Nauvoort is close enough to have a go at Amir Hazik. And I believe he's got him. Yes, he has. Nikolai Nauvoort up into P12. Nice overtake by him into the slow right-left chicane. He'll want to be doing a lot more of that if he's going to get points today. No.
Again, some technical difficulties for Nick. As we can see, Gergo going up in on the inside of Imran Shaikh, who is now all the way back in P16. Doesn't seem like he has the pace to keep up when we see Gergo Baller cutting the corner there. And Imran is still hanging on within a tenth of Gergo up Eau Rouge, but it doesn't quite seem like he's going to be able to get the move done at the end of the Camel Straight. Of course, it's easier to follow in these cars because they don't have as much downforce as a Formula 1 car, for example. So close racing will be much more seen today than we would see in a F1 race. And here on board with Maxime Badidi, who is challenging Robert Palm for a podium position. But as well, we can see Luca Den Hartog really chasing down his gearbox there in the Puhan corner, but he goes wide onto the green AstroTurf, which obviously slows him down a bit. And there was almost a contact of between Luca Den Hartog and Maxime Badidi, who seemed to brake late, but managed to keep it on track. You can see a little train forming here, which allows Alexei Kaipinen and Max Janssen to pull away even more than they already did.
Yeah, very nice battle here for P3, and Stein's doing a good job while my internet decides to not give me internet. So we follow him forward, Luca Den Hartog. He's right at the gearbox of Maxime Badidi now. This is getting very spicy very quickly, only 4 minutes in, and a battle's already forming. He's going to look up the inside, and there he goes. Breaks later than Badidi. Luca Den Hartog has the move done. He's up into 4th. Or he's up into 5th. I don't believe the live timing is correct there. Now we're going to fall on board with Mixon Mortiferum. Yes, Luca Den Hartog does have P4, and Macienko has P6.
Yeah, what a great move done by Luca Den Hartog, the Dutchman, who overtook his fellow Dutchman into the bus stop chicane.
Stijn, no favoritism, right? No, you don't support any country in particular, do you?
No, I don't. Mostly Czech Republic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Czech Republic, just like how I support Australia. Anyways, Max Janssen still leads the way. He's checked out 1.2. Well, he's not checked out really. He's only 1.2 seconds ahead of Alexei Kaipinen, but I can't help but feel that gap is going to steadily grow. Janssen's not one to make mistakes really, especially after the amount of practice he's done. So 1.3 seconds ahead of Kaipinen, and then Robert Pahn is leading the train of the battle for P3, and we've got a car.
Again, some technical difficulties for Nick, but we can see Ertug Destabasi here in the pit lane. Not sure what happened there, but I don't think it's a regular pit stop. So we'll see what he's doing there. It seems like he's maybe having some technical difficulties. We'll check on him later and see what happened. Here we can see David Lelt chasing down Pascal Eggert in his Lamborghini. David Lelt's really experienced driver, has done a great job with his first league race in a long time last weekend, claiming the win at the Vallelunga GP in Formula 3. So he's really he's on the roll, and now on his way of overtaking Pascal Eggert here, going onto the Blanchimont section of the circuit, and he seems to have both kind of going wide there, but he's still hanging on in there. If he managed to stay in this position, he will definitely slipstream past him, as we just seen Luca Den Hartog going past Maxime Badidi in a similar way. And yes, here we can see good defense, but a dummy, and there is touching, and both cars go off. Both cars go off, unfortunately.
A little over enthusiastic on the defense there. He switched direction quite a few times. on the entry to the corner, and I think David Wells is gonna take the position. He says, "Yeah, I'm gonna take that." He takes the inside on the exit. I'm sure our steward will be having a say on that one if they do in fact decide to show up for the GT3 series. And Darius Andre has driven his car into the garage. I think that could be his day done. Either that or he's going to hit back to pits for repairs.
Seems like
Uh,
he has
I'm
retired.
Yes, he has retired. So Darius Andre out of the race after I'm assuming after that collision. I think I don't he wasn't a part of that collision, was he? That was a different one we didn't see.
Yeah. No. So after 8 minutes, we have 2 retirements now. And what was your opinion on the crash, Nick? It seemed like
Well,
Pascal just moved a tiny bit too much to the inside, while David Lels already stick to the inside.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, um, the driver in front switched direction quite a few times. He went to the outside, then the inside, then the outside, and then the inside again. And um, I forget who the driver behind was, but he had too much speed and he was committed up the inside because that's where the space was. And when the driver in front closed the door, he had nowhere to go, and that's how collisions happen. So, in
yeah.
in that case, I don't want to name names or blame anybody because I'm not a driving expert myself, but I think that's got to go on the driver in front because Sylvester Tots leaving.
Nick is having some issues again. Well, here we can see Gago Balog, the Sim Apex driver, on the tail of the number 11 car of number 12 car. I'm sorry, of Tuts. Here into Blanchimont, we have seen that the slipstream effect is quite strong. So he might be up for a cheeky overtake down the inside here of Tots. And as we can see, there is enough room to defend for Sylvester Tots, and Gago Balog still needs to hang on in there, but the better exit almost was for Gago Balog. And now he has to deal with David Lels coming up his inside. I think that's a move done for David Lels, who of course we shouldn't forget was way higher up the field and was having some good pace. And he takes back the position there on the exit.
Wow, this is great racing. That was Tots going wide at Le Source, and that now it's they're very close up Eau Rouge and Radion, and is they're gonna be three wide down the straight.
If
What a
Lels plays it
battle!
smart, he can take both positions.
So it's Tots and Balak side by side, Lelt's in behind, and it looks like he's going to go round the outside into the right-hander, and he's got Tots. Sorry, oh Tots has Lelt's. The live timing doesn't update. As soon as the driver makes the overtake, my apologies there. I believe Tots has Lelt, and Gergo Balak holds the final points bank position in P10.
As we can see, there are some quite big gaps between the number 1 car, number 2 car. There's a huge gap between Alexei Kaipinen and Paul Robert of 5 seconds after 10 minutes of racing. But there are some trains forming, so some exciting racing is coming up. As we can see in the background, I expect to see an overtake by Pascal Egert, who has had outstanding pace during this race. Also during the qualifying, he managed to claim a good position. So here the exit seems to be pretty equal. But don't forget, and we can see there was a small incident, probably some going wide there of Gago Balog, and now there is a train forming going into Blanchimont.
Yep, very close once again. Hopefully, he's right on the bumper through the left-hander, and now down towards the chicane. Hopefully, not a.
That was close. Yeah, as we can see there, Pascal Egert has to defend from Sylvester Tots. Doing a great job right now making his recovery after the incident between David Lels and Pascal Eggert, both having a good pace. They're all fighting for just 1 point now. I think they would have deserved some better points for today, but unfortunately due to some incidents, they are only at the back of the field right now. So we can see David Lels getting into the slipstream of Gergo Balog, and we will see if he will be able to do anything to get that position back. But it seems like he is too far behind, unfortunately.
Yeah, like Stijn was saying, I think they deserve a few points each just for giving us some really good action to commentate over. This has been one of the best battles so far in either series so far this year, either F3 or ACC, a four-way battle for the final points being position.
Yeah, that's something, of course, a big advantage of the GT3 cars, who are able to deal with dirty air much better than the Formula Wheel open wheelers.
So it's currently Balog leading the train for P10, Lutz P11, followed by Eggert and Sylvester Tots, and Havik is quite a ways up the road, 5 seconds ahead of Balog, who is, like I said, P10. Max Janssen still leading the way by a few seconds over Kuipinen. Looks like it could be a comprehensive victory from Janssen, but Kuipinen's there if he makes some kind of mistake, which I don't anticipate will happen. But either way, we're on board with Leltz now, who leads the train, I think. Am I wrong? No, I'm just looking at the wrong car. It's Balak still leading. Could Lelt have a go into the bus stop? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, until now it seemed like the slipstream at the beginning of the entry of Blanchiment isn't that strong, but after they exit Blanchiment,
Balak gets a little slidey in mid-corner, and now Leltz could have a pop into the source. He is ahead as they cross the start-finish line. Leltz takes P10. Balak and Eggert still there, looking to get past him into the source. Looks like Eggert's going up the inside. He thought better of it, just pulled out in time to avoid the contact, and David Leltz takes P10. Very nice move from him, capitalized on the mistake from Balak, and now he could come under pressure from Pascal Eggert into the end of the Camel Straight. I don't know what that corner's called. I should probably look it up while Stijn recaps us.
Oh, and that was Lucan and Hartog. Lucan and Hartog spun at the.
Oh, he's in the wall.
Lucan and Hartog
Yes.
just gave up his P5 position after probably spinning after. Here we can see the replay of Lucan and Hartog following, and he took out Maxim Bedidi with him. That's I don't exactly know what happened there, but it seems to be the case where Lucan and Hartog took too many curb on the exit of Eau Rouge or Radion, and just lost it there while following. It seems like he was following Vladislav Muchilenko, who is now up into P3.
Yeah, very unfortunate from him. He was having a very good day, and he's lost it again on the entry to, I believe that's now called X corner. Luckily, it's landed on the road for him, but still a lot of time lost, and I think he may be pulling off to the side there, which is unfortunate. Not what you really want to see after what's been such a good performance so far, barring the incidents. I think the tires may have just been a little too hot, and he tried taking it normal pace, and you just can't do that when they're overheating after a spin. Sylvester Tots enters the pit lane for his first stop of the day, about 60 minutes into the race. What lap would you expect them to pit, Stijn?
I'm not exactly sure how much a stint lasts in these GT3 cars, but I'm pretty sure that if they would want to, they could drive for 1 hour straight. So I think the smartest thing would be to just see what would be the most tactical thing to do. Of course, if you can create some clean air for yourself, it's better to pit a bit earlier when you're stuck in the train, for example. But mostly the most strategic thing would be to pit at around 20 minutes. So yeah, we're reaching the pit window now.
Well, I've got to hope none of these guys pit because this is some great action. The fight is still on for what is now P9 after Luka Den Hartog's unfortunate incident at Eau Rouge. They come through that complex. It's Eggert followed by Barok and Havik probably about, a few tenths behind his next placed rival. And then Shaik a long way back from that. Sorry, Leltz is P8 now, I believe, after the pit stop by the driver who was in front of him. So it's Eggert, Leltz, Barok, and Havik fighting it out for position 8. But I think that's position 9 after all the pit stops are said and done.
Yeah, seems like it. And what about those Ferraris today? They don't seem to have a good day with being P11, 12, 13, or 15. Of course, some an incident non-related to the Ferrari for Luca and Hartog, but the other two don't really seem to have the upper hand, whereas the Aston Martins and the Audi seem to perform in a really good way at this track.
Well, it looks like has been infected by the Ferrari Formula One team in real life. So
yeah, it looks like it today. They're not having the best day.
unfortunate for them, but well, it's a long season, and we have some lesser known tracks. So guys like Janssen and Mochilenko and all the very experienced sim racers that have had, tons of laps at Spa because that's everyone's favorite track. The other guys might get an advantage to practice, have an equal playing field just about as we go to less used tracks like one of the rounds coming up. I can't remember the name of the track exactly. I'll have to check. Assetto Corsa, the chat. I'm talking of Misano. One of the few tracks available in Assetto Corsa Competizione, but not very well known as a whole. So we fall on board with Gergo Balak, into the source. He's trying to chase down Pascal Eggert and then hopefully David Leltz. And there's another incident. No, sorry, I believe that is Luca Den Hartog at the exit of the pit lane. My apologies. It's Eggert, Leltz, Balak, and Havik were falling on board with not that much action elsewhere in the field. Janssen is still trundling along on his way in P1, 3.6 seconds over Kaipinen, who's a long way in front of Vladislav Mochienko. He'll have to be aware of Mixa Bordeferrum on his tail, 1.9 seconds behind in P4, and Robert Pond seems to be quite a bit on his own in P6. He's got 6.2 seconds to Mortiferum, but then 1.4 seconds behind is Niklas Nahvot, and then Maxime Badidi, 2 seconds behind that. Then we have our fun little battle of Leltz, Eggert, Balak, and Havik. Then Shaik is quite a bit behind. And then Tots, Estebasi, and Luka Den Hartog now trailing.
Yeah, Max Janssen is still really comfortably in the lead. Unless he makes some kind of mistake, I don't see him giving away his win anymore.
Yeah, he's doing a bit of a Stijn Prins right now, I think. Not really giving us any action, but he's happy to storm away with the victory in that pink and black livery. Max Janssen is, if you see any posts on the Ace Racing League Discord or Instagram with a nice little design in it, that's a Max Janssen photo. So he's the man to thank for the nice imagery we're
And
able to use.
Alexi no. Oh, thank God.
That
was Dots going off.
Yes. A little bit of a mistake there. It is quite easy to lose it at La Source. If you apply too much of a turning angle, the rear will keep turning when you don't want it to, and you're gone. So I think that might have been what happened to him there.
Yeah, it's a slidey corner in almost every car, and it's really difficult to counter it with the setup. So yeah, especially when you have slightly overheating tires, it's just a really difficult corner to nail, and easy to spin out, of course. So luckily for Alexei Kaipinen, he's still hanging on in there in P2, whereas we thought he went off there in the bus stop chicane. As we can see, and as we kind of expected, we can see that Vladislav Mochilenko made up quite some ground coming from P6 in the qualifying, making up 3 positions with incredible race pace as always. Really consistent driver, and his overtaking style, something that really stands out when it comes to his driving. Unfortunately, we haven't really seen too many regular overtakes by him on stream today. But
Yeah, he's just been kind of doing his own thing, Robo Vlad, as we call him. Uh, the Terminator. He's moved up to P3. We kind of predicted that before the race started, and now we have a round of pit stops. David Leltz is in, and I can't tell you who that is behind him. I think that's
Gargo Balak followed
Gergo
him
Ballack.
into the pit.
So they do want to resume the battle, just for us, I think. They don't want to pit separately and then have to not see each other for a lap. They're almost married down there in P10 and 11.
Yeah, if I were Gergo, I would have tried to maybe undercut him by going in a lap earlier than David Leltz. Of course, when you exit the pit, you will have a less good of an exit because of the camel straight. Going onto the camel straight because of the pit exit around the inside of Blanchimont. Rouge, I'm sorry. So, but yeah, he decided to just follow him into the pit, which makes sense, but doesn't really seem like the best strategic call to try and pass him.
Some terrific tactical insight from our man Stijn Prins. Thank you. We like to call him ARL's Martin Brundle. Really, he's got this driving skills and he's got the knowledge. So David Leltz now gotta go back. You see the gap there has widened a little bit in the pit stop window, so maybe just a bit of a more efficient in lap from David Leltz. Now up to 2 seconds, and no more very tight battles at the moment. The closest gap is now 8 tenths as everyone enters the pit lane now. It's about to get very busy along the main straight. It doesn't look like Max Janssen's in though. I think he's carried on for another lap.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he drives really smoothly, so Max will be able to manage his tires in a really good way. So I don't really expect him to have any issues or come in. Of course, he also has the 3-second gap, or 4 seconds, I believe, to Alexei Kuipinen before the pit stop, so he can let him come a bit closer and make sure he has some fresh tires at the end of the race. Now, what I'm most curious about if Pascal Eggert managed to stay in front of David Leltz and Gergo Balog, but I do expect them to overtake him back.
Yeah,
it's going to be close.
Eggert is currently he's a lap in front of Leltz and Balach. Clearly not yet to make his pit stop, but it will be a smaller gap. But I don't know, is how much is a pit stop really worth? How close will they be?
Well, the thing is, we have the GT pit straight here, which is incredibly long. So a pit stop does cost you a lot of time. And here we can see Pascal Eggert indeed in the pit lane on his way to the pit exit. And the gap between the cars, as we can see right now, isn't too big. It's becoming kind of a train. Here we can see a bit of weaving by Alexei Kuipinen on his outlap, trying to probably warm up his tires before going into the technical section of the track.
Yeah, and that's not something you really see all that often during the race. So he must really be struggling for heat in the tires, or some reading is telling him they're very cold. So he's prepared to give away a few tenths of time, maybe, or maybe even a few hundredths to get the heat into the tires before the little tricky right left and then the slow hairpin, which is really tricky. I have to say, one of my least favorite corners in the whole circuit.
Yeah, it's a really tricky circuit in general. Of course, it doesn't help with the heat in the tires when the pit lane is this long. It's easy to lose the temperature. So I get why Alexei was weaving a bit. So we can see all the drivers have pitted except for Amir Hazek and Max Janssen, who just continues to drive in the lead and doesn't seem to have any issues at the moment.
And now we have a bit of a battle brewing. It's Leltz on the back of Maxime Pedidi. What a drive from David Leltz today, I've got to say. Didn't he qualify down in about 10th or something like that?
I believe he qualified in P7 even, but of course he was in a really good position while he had the collision with Pascal Eggert going into the post stop chicane, which made them both lose quite some positions.
Yeah, after that, other than that collision, he's been driving quite well, I have to say. He's got the pace, and he's closed down what was once quite a big gap to Maxime Badidi, I think, down to about 5/10, and he may be in contention for P7 in this race.
Yeah, it seems like Maxim has been struggling a bit, allowing David Lels to catch up with him. Maybe fun thing to mention is that Maxim Badidi and David Lels have known each other for a long time, and both were Generation 1 drivers of the Ace Racing League Championship. So they know how to. They know each other well. They know how good the other one is. They know each other's defense and attack style. So looking forward to see if David Lels will be able to find his way past Maxime Badidi.
And who's having a day to forget is Robert Pawn. He started in P2 or P3 down into P6 now. He just hasn't had the pace I would expect from him this afternoon or this evening for my European friends.
There is Vladislav Muchilenko being overtaken by Mixa Mortiferum, going side by side there, but Vladislav brakes a bit later and of course had the inside line and managed to stick it in front of Mixa Mortiferum, but it seems like Mixa's picking up the pace, trying to get that virtual podium position at the moment, as we can see that Amir Hazek hasn't pitted yet. So
you see the grip on those two tires. Vlad broke very late, and you saw the understeer with the tire tread, and he still managed to keep it on the track and get the overtake done. So really nice from him.
That must have been a scary moment for him for a second. Of course, he's an outstanding driver, and I expected him to save the car, but it's always like a little heart attack that you will experience when you can feel the back end of the car breaking out. And here we can see the leader in the pits.
Yeah, Max Janssen's finally pitting. Amir Havik, you see 40 seconds behind, but he's not on the same strategy. Amir Havik is actually in the pits at the moment, so. Then there's Kaipinen. He's a lap behind. We'll have to see how close he gets to Max Janssen. I believe he was about 3 seconds behind before the pit stop window, so it'll be interesting to see if he makes up any time or if he's lost time.
Yeah, also it seems like, I'm not sure if the current live timing is correct, but it seems like there is a big gap between Vladislav Muchilenko and Alexei Kaipinen, which indicates the gap is 50 seconds, but I doubt if that's the case.
I think it's the gap to the car above, so I believe it's 1 lap between Kaipinen and Mochilenko. Oh, now it's 23 seconds. Okay, the live timing is really trolling us at the moment. I don't know why it doesn't seem to like us, but either way, Max Janssen's leading the way, and it looks like Mortiferum is right on the back of Mochilenko as Mochilenko. No, that was a different car. My apologies. That was the Sim Apex car, was it not, pulling into the pits?
Yeah, it could have been.
Had that white and yellow livery that is apparently white and green.
Yeah, beautiful livery, if I say so myself. Seems to give the drivers some extra speed.
And yes, the gap is still about 3 seconds between Janssen and Kaipinen after the pit stop window, so not much time lost, only maybe a few tenths from Janssen despite going a few more laps on much older tires. It shows you the pace he's got right now. He's almost untouchable, but now David Leltz is trying to chase down Maxime Badidi for P6. He's right on the back of him, and he had the speed into that right-hander, had to think better of it, pulled out of the move, and this is not an overtaking spot, so he's got to wait a bit longer. I'd say you want to size up a move and probably wait until one of the slower corners, such as the bus stop or La Source, or wait until the straight.
Yeah, so far Maxime Badidi is doing a great job of keeping David Lels behind, because we've seen them around 3 minutes ago in the same order, so seems like Lels is having a hard time getting past him. Of course, Maxime Badidi is a really experienced driver, so it's not really a surprise to me, and that really good looking Bentley, both driving in alone in their Brent. So there is only one Lamborghini on the track and only one Bentley on the track, which makes this battle maybe even a bit more special.
And just taking your eyes off that for a moment, the gap has come down significantly between first and second. Kuipen is now only 1.8 seconds away from the lead. So I think a little mistake happened with Max Janssen, surprisingly enough. And one
Yeah.
more, and it could be fatal. Not fatal, that's a bit much, but it could prove detrimental to his chances at the win.
Yeah, of course, we shouldn't forget that Max also drove around 3 or maybe 4 laps more on his old tires, which allowed Alexei to catch up, but it also means that Max Janssen right now is on fresher tires than Alexei Kuipenen, who is right behind him.
All right, so we're going to hear a word from our sponsors, Lyft Esports. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Lyft Incorporated is a lifestyle brand driven by esports founded in 2018. Our mission is to lift esports to a higher level by offering the best esports products and services. We believe that a healthy lifestyle contributes to every aspect of the athletes. Lyft represents the life of a successful esports player. We define our brand with esports merchandise, supplements and coaching. We rise by lifting you. Hop in the lift, do it different.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry for the delay just as we were going on to the battle between Leltz and Badidi, and it appears that nothing, because I can't speak apparently, but we're gonna check out the battle between Mochilienko and Mortiferum as they are getting close together for the final podium position once again.
Yeah, so
Sorry, go ahead.
we missed something here because it's good to mention that before Motiferum was behind Mochilenko, so there has been an overtake made on Vladislav Mochilenko by Miksa Mortiferum.
Thanks for the update. Stijn, if you were Vlad, how would you be looking to get past Mortiferum right now?
Well, of course, this track has quite some overtaking opportunities, but getting a good exit out of La Source onto Eau Rouge is of course really important, because you also don't need to be too close going into Radion and Eau Rouge, because there can be quite some dirty air causing understeer, and you don't want that to happen going up a corner with 200 kilometers an hour. So I think the best overtaking opportunity for him would be to try it in the bus stop chicane after Blanchimont, where the slipstream has proven itself to be very strong.
And hopefully he hears you in the white and green cockpit of the Sim Apex car. Of course, no teams in this championship, but he's a team member in spirit. Now, as we head up Eau Rouge, looks like Pascal Eggert lifted off a little bit just to be safe as you come up Eau Rouge, because if you make contact up there, both cars are in the wall, no exceptions pretty much, unless you are one very skilled driver. Now, just under 5 minutes remaining in the GT3 World Championship Round 1, and it looks like Pascal Eggert had a thought of going at the inside of Gergo Balak there, but no, that's not a great place to do it, especially if you aren't properly alongside. He's looking up the inside everywhere. Pascal Eggert desperate to get by Gergo Balak at this point in the race. I think you've got to be a little bit patient here. You've got 4 minutes to use, use all the resources available, including the time. You don't need to go up the inside through the right-hander where there's a left where he's just going to get you back. Um, you should really be patient and wait for one of the slower corners.
Yeah, of course, it's also a mental game, showing him you're there, making him nervous, which of course can have a big impact on some of the drivers, especially when they're less experienced.
Right you are, and that could be part of what Leltz is actually doing right now, now that Stijn mentions it. It is possible he's trying to make himself look big in the mirrors, so Badidi has something to think about through each of the corners. Now coming onto the long, twisty back straight, as I like to call it, although it's not really a straight at all. We have Blanchimont, and then the no-name left-hander, which you do have to lift off for. And there's a bit of time to be gained there, maybe a few tenths through that corner, and Leltz will need to do it if he plans to move into the bus stop like Stijn says he should do. Doesn't look like he has the speed here into the chicane. No, he does not. He'll have to stay behind for at least these corners, he'll have to maximize. Looks like he's trying to get the best run possible, taking a late apex into the second half of the bus stop. No move into the source, it looks like, unfortunately for Leltz. And it looks like their pace is just so equal right now that it's going to be very difficult for David to get a move done. It's been a decent race from him, as I mentioned before. It's good. He's doing quite well recently, hasn't he, Stijn, with the win you mentioned last week in ARL and now P7 at the moment in Assetto Corsa Competizione.
Yeah, he recently joined the selective ARL winners club, as we can call it, maybe. Yeah, he seems to be in form after his comeback in sim racing here, chasing down Maxime Badidi, who is still doing an amazing job of keeping him behind. It seems like David is having some trouble, as we can see.
Oh,
Some really late braking there by Maxime Badidi, a bit too late if you ask me.
yeah,
But
he got a little bit wayward.
He still managed to block off the inside and keep him behind.
And here goes David Leltz around the outside of Les Bruxelles. He will have the outside where there's less grip, and yes, Batidi's just going to keep the position into no name. Great defending still from Batidi, although that mistake shows that cracks could be starting to form in the final 2 minutes. This should be the second to last lap, so Leltz has got to get a move on. But Didi has done very well, and if I'm completely honest, both of these drivers deserve the points for sixth, because this is very entertaining and very great driving from both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, the only thing Maxime Badidi needs to do right now is keep David Leltz behind him in Sector 2 and make sure to get a great exit onto the Camel Straight and in Blanchimont. Because those are basically only the only two overtaking opportunities, at least the most realistic ones. So if he managed to keep doing what he's doing right now, which is just getting amazing exits onto the straights, then I don't see David Leltz getting past him anytime soon. Although here, it seems like he's getting really close.
I was just gonna say he could have a pop into the bus stop, and he will. Round the outside goes David Leltz. His nose pokes ahead as they go into the right-hander portion. David Leltz gets him. David Leltz, as they head on to the final lap of the race, has overtaken Maxime Badidi for P6. What a move from David Leltz. He must feel so satisfied having waited so long to get that done. Hats off to both drivers.
The battle isn't over yet, because here we can get a really good exit onto the straight, but we're seeing here Max Janssen comfortably in the lead, 3 seconds in front of Alexei Kaipinen, and extending the gap even more.
Yep, Max in a league of his own today, 3.3 seconds ahead, barring any incidents. He's the easy winner, and no one deserves it more than him today. No mistakes, perfect driving, and it looks like he'll come away with a full 25. What isn't settled, though, is this battle for P6 and this battle for P4 between Mochilienko, who's in P4, and Maxim Mortiferum, who's in P3. And this could come down to the final corner, as we just saw with Leltz and Badidi. Mochilienko, I'm sure, will be biding his time. Very, very smart driver, makes the right decision, so I know he's not going to try anything risky into these next few corners. He'll be biding his time and going for the late braking move into the final chicane.
Yeah, if Mochilenko managed to get maybe within 3/10 going on to the final part of the circuit, he might be able to get an overtake done, but he needs to pick up the pace.
Regardless of that, it's Max Janssen coming across the line to be the first winner of the Ace Racing League GT3 World Championship. It's Alexei Kaipinen with a nice drive to finish second. Those two were in their own class today, but it's still up in the air for P3. Mortiferum and Mochilienko into the bus stop. Mochilienko, is he close enough? We're going to find out into the braking zone. No, he's not. It looks like Mortiferum is going to keep it. Mochilienko, very late braking, looked up the inside, didn't have the brakes to go for it. And it's all said and done here. Mixa Mortiferum, a very great drive to hold off a great driver in Mochilienko. P3 for him, 4 for Mochilienko. Robert Pond overtook David Leltz at some point to get P5. And now these two are going at it. It's David Leltz. He took the position on the last lap and he's held it. It's P6, a very hard-fought P6 for David Leltz. Maxime Didi 7th. Gergo Balak wins the battle for P8. Eggert is 9th, and it looks like Amir Havik is going to take the final points paying position of 10th.
Yeah, it also seems like we've missed something seeing Nicolai Nagelvoort back in P14 while he was in P5 halfway through the race.
That's
So
a good eye.
something has happened there, but I'm not sure what happened.
Good eye, Stijn. Thank you. I knew we had you here for something. No, just kidding. So after Havik, it's Sylvester Tots, Destabasi Shaik, then Hartog, and Navort in 15th. That's the race, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating over a very exciting event, actually. I'm sure there's more to come. Thank you for joining me today. Stijn, any last thoughts on the event?
Yeah, it was a great race, great battles, and as expected, the gaps were pretty close. And yeah, was happy to commentate with you here today. So we hope to see you back in 1 week or 2 weeks. I'm not sure.
You want to give a shout out tomorrow? Yes, for ARL Endurance, everyone.
Of
Make sure to
course.
join us for that. Stijn, do you want to give a shout out to anyone?
Shout out to Cemal. Shout out to
Okay.
Cemal, the
Okay,
guy,
cool.
our race director, who's doing an awesome job streaming the race today.
I'd like to give a shout out to Robert Pawn and Max Janssen, who have done the organizing for this league. Very good job by them. They got a pretty nice field for the opener, and I'm excited to see what we've got in store. So, everyone, thank you for joining us today. From Nicholas Barnsdale and Stijn Prins, we thank you for joining us and wish you a wonderful evening, morning, or night wherever you are. Goodbye.